hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Suncoast Marketing. We deliver bright ideas in design, print, promotion, and distribution. Suncoast Marketing for over 40 years, serving South Florida, as well as the entire U.S., and even internationally, from right here in South Florida. Call us for all your printed documents, promotional products, trade shows, labeling, digital marketing, web design, SEO, and social media marketing. Visit us at suncoastmarketing.com or simply call 954-583-4351.
Welcome to the 2-Minute Warning, a sports talk platform that will examine current issues in the world of sports, the athletes, and the communities they impact. With your host, former NFL star Bennie Blades. Bennie will be speaking with both current and former athletes, asking the questions about the lessons they've learned on their journey and how they impact the community. Call into the show now at 888-565-1470. Mr. Blades, are you ready?
Good evening, and welcome to another edition of the 2-Minute Warning. I am your host, Bennie Blades. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I have some special guests. I've had friends, I have had brothers, I've had people that are really, really, really close to me, but there's nothing like tonight's guest. I have none other than O.J. McDuffie, and a brother of one of my producers, Mr. Steve Sartoris, is going to join me later on the show. But right now, I want to thank Suncoast Marketing for these lovely signs in back of me. These guys make sure every week I look good at what I'm doing. And I want to talk about a little bit of NFL notes, because with the COVID going on, it's going to impact a lot of what is going on around the NFL, I guarantee you, in the next 4 to 5 weeks. Cam Newton had a scare with COVID. He was out. He may or may not be back this weekend for the New England Patriots. But the thing is, they're shuffling around games just so they can get games in their conference played before there was a big blow up of COVID. And I told people before the season started, I really didn't think the season would go as long as it is, because when you got kids that are 24, 25 years old and a pocket full of money, and now the president has opened back up the United States, it's hard to keep those kids out of the nightclubs. And I just don't know how the NFL season is going to finish. But right now, I want to get to my guest, Mr. O.J. McDuffie. O.J., are you there?
I am here, Benny. How you doing, boss man?
Man, I am wonderfully blessed. I'm glad to have you on the show tonight.
Yeah, man, it's an honor, man, and a privilege, obviously, man, to sit down and chop it up with you a little bit. You know, with so much going on, man, this is the perfect time for your platform, our platforms, to be heard.
Yes, and I definitely want to get with you about your platform. But before we get into that, I tell people I don't like to talk too much football. But because you played, like I had to tease with Troy last week, because you played for two legendary coaches, and Joe Pa and Don Shula, I just want to hear a story, one from Joe Pa and how he shaped you as a man coming through your college career, and then to go on to Don Shula and how Don Shula made you, because my brother, you're a strong brother now. So Don and those two had to have shaped you into who you are today. Tell me a couple of stories about each one of them.
Absolutely, and you know Benny as well. You know how much my mom shaped my person,
Yes.
me personally. You know, you remember the great Gloria McDuffie.
Yes, I do.
and she felt comfortable sending me to Penn State and playing for a man like Joe Paterno because she knew who he was, what he stood for, and what he expected from us. More importantly, it was, I think his emphasis on us was not just your win loss record, but he was more impressed with what kind of young man are you going to be, how are you going to be able to contribute to society, how are you going to respect your family, away from football in a respectable way. And that's one of the main things that we got from Joe. Joe always made sure we went to class. He always found out that I was cutting class, Benny. He would have somebody follow me for 2 weeks to make sure I was going to class. Joe's more impressed with his graduation rate than his win-loss record. And there's a story that has been passed along to a lot of us. And they asked Joe, like, Joe, who's your favorite? What's your best team? What's your best team at Penn State? And I don't know what year it is. I'm gonna say like 1977 team. You look at that record, they're like 7-4. Like, well, how's that your best team? He said, well, 5 of them are lawyers, 3 are doctors, 6 own their own business. You know what I mean? And that was his his test for how successful that team was. You know what I mean? And that was one of the things, man. He did so many things with us in terms of 10 minutes early is on time. Anything inside of that, you're late. Anything after that, you're in trouble. You know what I mean? And that's important to us. I've been, just take for instance tonight. I made sure I was logged on here at 7:15, or you know what I mean? All my clocks are 15 minutes fast in my house. Even though I know they're 15 minutes fast, I still try to abide by them. So I think the thing that Joe taught us more than anything, other than some football, was preparing us for being responsible and being men after this, how to raise a family. His family was always involved. We were always a part of his families, and I thought that was always important. So how we handle ourselves away from football is more important than how we handle ourselves on the field.
Yeah. Well
And
said.
for Coach Shula, Coach Shoes, man. Now that was a different animal. Like, you think about it, Coach Paterno, there was zero cursing around Coach Paterno. He didn't curse. None of the coaches were allowed to curse, and we definitely weren't allowed to curse. So you know how it is, man. Going from college, but I don't know the U. I don't know how it was going on at the U, but it's a little different than it was at Penn State in terms of the language. In terms of the language, Benny, but when I got to that pro locker room, man, it was a culture shock for me, man. But one thing I knew about Coach Shula was, though, he held us accountable as men. We had to go in there and we had to represent ourselves as men. There's some college coaches that come in there and they have a hard time with that. They want to micromanage too much. What Coach Shula did was, we handle things, but we handle things ourselves. So he was on more of the macro, and we were able to handle ourselves as professionals, and that was that was important. But man, the language in that locker room, I've never seen a player curse at a coach and still play that next weekend. You know what I mean? If that were the case, he was going to sit back in the day. But he treated us like men, and we had to do the same thing when it came to being responsible, being accountable, going out there and getting the work in. Make sure we get a good night's sleep. If we don't get a good night's sleep and we come out and we play like whatever, then he's going to find out about it. And he was the sheriff in town. He knew everything that went down, so there was nothing getting past him. So I think the respect that both of those coaches had from their players, from their communities, you can't even compare it to anybody, man. 2 of the greatest, like you talked about, one in college, one at the pro game, one still has the record for the most wins. And both of them have the record for the most wins in their respective leagues, man. And yeah, it was just an honor, man. And you don't even think about it. And I always say this too, Benny, and I hate to digress, but my high school coach was outstanding too. You know what I mean? Wow. And my first major coach, my Uncle Homer, was outstanding too. So I've been coached by some of the greatest, man. And I think that's what led to my success on the field, but it also led to my success in life, where I was making the right decisions. Because how it can be, man. You could be at the wrong place, wrong time. You could be, you could go to the wrong place because nobody tells you not to. But all these people throughout my career, throughout my life, have directed me in the right direction. So I've had the greatest coaches, man, and no better life coach than my mom. All the other coaches, man, just outstanding, and what's led to my success.
Oh no, you just said it best, because I knew you as a player, but getting to know you because of Gloria, okay? Mm-hmm. I got to know you as the man, okay? And now we're gonna talk about OJ McDuffie's success off the field, but I contribute all of that to your mom. Your
Yeah.
mom made sure that to whom was given much is required. She made sure, just like my mom. And so
Yeah.
I just want you to talk about how your mom influenced you to go out and make sure the OJ McDuffie Foundation, and tell me some of the things that you're doing with that
Yeah.
continue her legacy.
Yeah, and that is a great question. That's a great point, man. She's the one that said, we've been given so much as athletes, And maybe I can go back even further, man. I grew up with nothing, like a lot of us grew up with absolutely nothing. My mom was one of 13 children. We grew up in a 2-bedroom. You call it a house, but as soon as we moved out, they knocked it down. So that tells you how bad the living conditions, were for us as a family. And she was a very young mom, and my mom was the first one in our family to go to college. I might as well start. She had me when she was 15 years old, and she was a straight A student. And back then, you get pregnant, you're out of school. But see, that wasn't the case in my family, man. Like I said, I had 12 aunts and uncles at that point. I had grandparents that cared, and they made sure my mom finished her high school education, went on to college, got her college degree, went on and got her master's after that, and there was no stopping her. So that right there told me there's no stopping me. And along the way, she made sure she made all the right decisions for me along the way, and that was important. I was her number one priority, but in order for me to be able to get to where I wanted to be, she had to continue her education. She had to continue working the way she was working. I mean, she worked so hard, man. It was like, and me being a spoiled only child, I didn't understand it then. But now as a grown man, I understand the sacrifice she had, the hard work she put in to make me who I am. So fast forward and now, that was part of our gig when she moved down here to South Florida, was that we were going to continue to give back to the communities. That was important. We did it in Cleveland, Ohio, where I was raised. We gave back there, and I was doing it while I was at Penn State. But once we got down here, we made sure we're going to continue to give back. So any community like the South Florida community has been so good to me. It's imperative that I give back to it, and so that was on her right away. So we started doing golf tournaments to benefit cystic fibrosis and American Heart Association. And then we started thinking about things that really hit us close to home. As I told you, she was a single mom. So we started thinking about single family homes. We started thinking about, Jack and Jill Learning Centers and, SOS Children's Village. We just started thinking about places where moms and kids, where they need that love. And so that's what we started working on. So at the beginning, we only had just events. And then in 2006, we decided we're going to put a foundation together, OJ McDuffie Catch 81 Foundation. And that was when we started, putting things together so we could start adopting families for Thanksgiving, doing a big toy drive, doing a Halloween event, doing a golf tournament, doing a bowling event, whatever we can do to reach out to the community, make some money and give it back to the community. And that's what it was all about. And like I said, my mom was all about making sure we gave back to the community because it's been so good to us.
Yeah. And just name some of the things that you do, because I know for a fact that if it was coming up and we didn't have COVID, you got one of the best Halloween parties. Just talk about your Halloween party and how that has grown.
Yeah, man, I tell you, man, that event was one of my mom's favorites, and it's definitely my wife's favorite. The Signature Grand Ghoul, man, it's been going on for a long time. And there were guys before me that were the hosts of it, Jason Taylor and Sam Madison and Ricky Williams. And, once all those guys got old or went somewhere else, Signature Grand came calling that. And I was able to, to fill those shoes right there, and it's been amazing. I mean, it's one of the biggest, amazing adult Halloween parties that has ever been produced. And it gives back to so many different charities, man. And lately, we've been doing work with 211 Broward, which is, the most unnoticed, most important service that we have in South Florida. Especially what's going on with COVID. 211 Broward, they're a suicide hotline, they're a helpline. They got 400 services for people that are just in need of whatever. You give them a call, Benny, man, and they'll point you in the right direction. And we all know what COVID has done to people, in terms of their finances. but we also know what it's done to people in terms of their mental state and their mental health. And so that's one of the people that we work with the Signature Grand Ghoul is 201 Broward. But the party itself, I think the first year might have been a couple hundred people. Now we're getting close to 1,000 people, coming to this event. And Signature Grand donates that amazing hall that they have. The whole thing is all ours that night. And we get a lot of former players come in. We get current players that come in. We got a lot of guys that didn't play for the Dolphins that want to be a part of it. I know, you and your brother, you have done so much in the community as it is, man, but nonstop. I see you at a lot of different events as well. And it's like, guys just love doing that. You tell people to give back, especially give back to kids, give back to the community, and they're all in, man. And that's what I love so much about being a former athlete, knowing guys like yourself, you guys, man, you guys make my job easier as a director of our foundation, because you guys show up and show out for me and make me look good along the way, man. But it's all about giving back to our communities because, like man, South Florida's been great to all of us.
Yes. Now, I'm going to take a commercial break, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about that bowling tournament because I missed that. You ain't give me a call last year. Okay? So I'm going to take a commercial break.
I was worried about you. I didn't want you to embarrass yourself, man. We'll talk about it some now. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, no, we're going to talk about it. Commercial break, baby.
Many patients are often unsure where to go for treatment after a sports injury, car accident, or slip and fall. We here at the Boca Clinic are readily available 6 days a week to treat you by providing long-term relief through addressing the cause of the injury and not just treating the symptoms. Daily stress to the body causes the spine to misalign, resulting in poor posture and poor nerve flow. Dr. Klein provides a relaxing environment where the clinic focuses on strengthening and healing both muscle, soft tissue, and realigning the bones. We are located at 1601 Clintmore Road in Boca Raton. Call now, 561-988-1998.
His abilities as a dry cleaner are so undeniable, Dry Clean Only tags have his phone number printed on the back. Stubborn stains sometimes call him late at night just to apologize. His pickup and delivery service is so fast, his vans have pit crews. He is the most interesting dry cleaner in the world.
You don't always dry clean, but when you do, use A&T Dry Cleaners. Stay dirty, my friends.
Vodka is an American-made, all-natural, gluten-free potato vodka. Only 2% of vodka is made from potatoes. We use regionally grown potatoes and water from the Snake River aquifer. We start with the best agriculture to make a superior product. It is rapidly growing as a bartender's choice drink. Go to ZodiacSpirits.com to find your cocktail. Remember, must be 21 years or older. Drink responsibly. ZodiacSpirits.com.
Welcome back to the studios of the 2 Minute Warning with your host, Bennie Blades. Mr. Blades, are you ready?
Yes, I am back. I want to thank my sponsors, Boca Clinic, AT&T Dry Cleaners, and Zodiac Vodka. Now, OJ McDuffie, are you back? And I'm also going to bring on Steve Sartoris. Steve, are you on the line with us?
Yeah,
okay.
Right here.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you rep them Gators for right now.
I spent about 30 minutes looking in my closet for my U shirt. I couldn't find it, so I ended up with the blue one. Sorry about that.
It's okay, Steve. I'm gonna get one over to your sister so you can wear a university. It'll make you feel better. Okay. Now, before I get to you, Steve, OJ, before I went to break, tell the people about your bowling tournament. Besides what you do for the October dance, I call it, a Halloween spookathon, you have one of the biggest bowling tournaments. A lot of people do golf, but your bowling tournament is really spectacular.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Benny. Yeah, absolutely, man. Bowling is, we turned to bowling because we used to go bowling every Tuesday night. And, in the league, Tuesday's the night off for all the players. So we started doing bowling event. And that started also with my mom, of course. Everything seemed to start with my mom. But we're just doing it for fun. We used to keep records. My mom wrote down every score every Tuesday. At the end of the year, we had like an award ceremony, high game, high average, all kinds of stuff, man. It was pretty cool. And we weren't in a league. We were in our own league, And so we took that with all my friends. Sometimes we'd have 30, 35 people out there bowling, just no league, just friends that want to show up and bowl. So we took that and we decided to make it into an annual event. And we do it out in Davie at Spares. And, at the beginning we had there's 64 lanes at Spares. We probably had about 30. That's about 3 years ago. Now we're up to a full house. So we have 64 lanes that are taken, a DJ booth in the middle, but it's so much fun because of all the guys like I talked about. You talked about you didn't get an invite. I don't know if that's actually true. I mean, you might not answer my call, Benny, and that's a little different than not getting an invite. But
look, I always answer your call. I don't hear that. I'm gonna answer your call. Okay, but look,
we get a lot. Yeah, good.
Yeah, make sure that this COVID thing is over with. I get my invite, okay?
Yes, for sure. And we're already worried about how we're going to make that happen this year anyway. So it might not be one in 2021, but we're definitely looking to get back at it 2022. But like I said, bowling's so much fun because you can control everything. You talk about golf. We did the golf events. You don't know if it's going to rain. You don't know if guys are going to show up on time. There's so many things so many variables. Whereas indoors, climate controlled, all you got to do is worry about guys not showing up because the rest of it's taken care of, and honestly, the logistics of it all is so much better and so much easier than trying to fill the whole course with drinks or food or volunteers. It's so much easier, and we made the same amount of money, so it made more sense to do bowling than it did golf and just be involved in other people's golf events instead of having my own, because that golf event was a headache. I'm going to tell you that right now. Bowling's so much fun. For one, I'm a decent bowler myself, so I enjoy it a lot more than golf because golf is not my game. So yeah, I see you looking at me like, what kind of bowling game do I have? I can tell you now.
Okay, now I'm gonna come and challenge you on that one.
All right. How many perfect games you got under your belt?
Huh?
How many perfect games do you have under your belt?
0.
Okay. I've got one. I've got one perfect game. I got two 299s. I've got a couple 279s. So, I mean, a few 279. I choked a few times. That's what I call that. But let's get at it then. Let's get at it.
Okay, I'm a competitor. Oh, look, but Steve, that's a great segue into you because you own your own business, but you also have to deal with a sister that's always in your ear. Okay? How do you balance? How do you balance the two? I know she's gonna get on me, but how do you balance the two?
Well, it's a delicate thing. You've got you're building and the phone's ringing, and you got to do both at the same time. It's not very easy. You know what I'm saying? But we managed to get in there, at certain times. So we're doing okay.
Well, I'm glad you're managing, your business is doing well, and make sure, guys. I mean, OJ, Dana and Steve has the sweetest mother. Okay, I thought Miss Gloria was sweet, but
Right.
I don't know that. You know what I mean? Their mother is to die for. Okay, so make sure, Steve, you tell your mom after the show that Benny said hello, okay? But right now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna get in to what I call my pick'em segment, okay? This week, I'm not gonna attack the Dolphins. I'm gonna leave them for last. Okay?
Hey, go at it. I always got ammo for my Dolphins, man. Do what you got to do. I've always got ammo for my Dolphins.
I know, but I'm gonna get to that last because you guys are playing the little sister of the poor this week. You're playing the Jet. But I'm talking about them. I'm gonna talk about them last. Steve, Monday Night Football. We got the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, playing against the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo is surprising people this year. I don't know why, but they're playing some good, solid football. Who you picking Monday Night Football? The Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills?
I'm going with the Chiefs. They just have so many weapons offensively, and I know that Buffalo just played last night, and they have to put it back together. And they didn't have a great night, but I don't know. I don't know how you can beat Kansas City, especially on Monday night. I think they're going to be pumped for that.
Well, I don't know. The game is in Buffalo, so I'm gonna just factor in that variable. But OJ, who you picking?
Well, it's not the same anymore being in Buffalo when there's no crowd like it used to be. I know how hostile that environment can be. But I also feel like, coming off that loss, what looked to be an embarrassing loss that Buffalo just took, they're probably the best team, in my opinion, in the AFC East. So I feel like Buffalo will redeem themselves at home and get a win against Kansas City. Kansas City's not the same Kansas City that they were last year. I think they're still, glossing their and flossing their rings a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think they're going to be there. But right now, they're not that same team, especially I don't think defensively. But I think right now, Buffalo at home, even without the crowd, I think they've got a good chance of getting this win.
Yeah,
There you go.
I think on my scorecard, I went for Kansas City only because, look, Kansas City took a tough L last week. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that was tough, and I just don't think Andy Reid. To me, he's going to be that factor. I don't think he's going to allow Patrick Mahomes and that team to play as bad as they did last week. I mean, that was terrible. Even in Buffalo, I think they win that game. But we'll move on to the next game.
Okay.
Before the season, guys, everybody pretty much put Tom Brady into the Super Bowl. I told him Tom Brady is not going to be the New England Tom Brady. They're getting ready to play Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. I'm gonna start with you, OJ. Who you picking?
Oh man, it's hard to pick outside the state. It's hard to pick outside of our state, man. You know how our state gets, But we don't like anybody in our state. Like you didn't like anybody, in your division or in your conference. We don't like anybody else in our state. So Jacksonville, Tampa, we can't stand them, especially when they got Tom Brady, who we couldn't stand for 2 decades in New England. So I'll never pick on his side ever, ever, ever. But that team in Green Bay's got that man Aaron Rodgers, and he's a bad man, as we all know. But I think the running back Jones is the difference maker. That offense in Green Bay is unbelievable. And I know Tampa has a solid defense, but Aaron Rodgers does such a great job of spreading that rock around. And so we're going to see. Tom Brady's still a little upset about the L they did take a couple weeks ago, and I see he's trying to make his way back into it. But I'm going with Aaron Rodgers and the Packer. I'm not a Packer backer, but I do like Aaron Rodgers this weekend.
Okay, Steve. I defer
Well,
it over to you.
half my family is a Packer backer. My wife born in Wisconsin, and there's a whole bunch of cheeseheads up there. But Aaron Rodgers has played, I think, his best football this year, and they haven't turned the ball over yet. Which could be a bad thing. I don't know if one game's coming, but they're adding Adams too. He's coming back. He's been out for a few, like 2 or 3 games. So I don't see how Tampa Bay can stop them, to tell you the truth. I'm going to Green Bay.
Okay.
He did that for a couple of reasons. Don't just think it because he's talking about Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. He can't go home. He can't go home.
You heard that too, right? You heard that.
So we had to pick that game,
I got to put you on the spot because you got that Gator shirt on. I had to do that. You just etching down my notes. I'm like, okay, I'm picking this Green Bay game here.
That's right.
Now, a lot of weeks, I don't cheer for the Bears, especially Green Bay, Tampa Bay, because I used to play those guys every single year in the NFC North. Now it's the Central Division. And for me, it's always hard to pick a Green Bay team. But I'm going to pick Green Bay only because Tom Brady is not the same Tom Brady of old. Okay? And before I go, I know they kind of phase you guys out, but I picked the Dolphins over the Jets. I just want everybody to know I did pick the Dolphins this week over the Jets, and I want everybody to buy a Pro Pack.
The preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests.
And I'll see you guys next week when we'll talk more about life. Thank you, and see you next week.
Anton Steinhardt, founder of Wines for Humanity, is proud to team with Black Shiraz partner and former NFL star Bennie Blades to assist in his Bennie Blades 36 Foundation in helping children with special needs. Go to winesforhumanity.com, look for the 20% off wine specials, make your selection, and use the code BB36F20. Please join the team through winesforhumanity.com or call Dana Lisa Torres at 561-445-7066. Thank you.
You've been listening to the 2-Minute Warning with Bennie Blades. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Tune in again next week for our next episode. You can follow the 2-Minute Warning on Bennie Blades' Facebook page and share it with your friends. Mr. Blades,